Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Heart to Heart. And welcome Leah
Hi.
and her lovely husband, Antoine.
Hi.
So today we're going to talk about something um, serious and something that is, people with chronic illness actually across the board, but with SPS especially, and people that take immunosuppressive drugs, it's our kind of our worst nightmare. And we're going to talk about it, and it's something called septic shock. And that is when bacteria, simply put, maybe bacteria gets into the blood, something so bad like that, from somewhere, and usually an infection, and then it becomes a immediate kind of emergency of, how do we fix this? And so Leia just recently went through this an episode of this, and so we were so grateful. I think both of us that Antoine was willing to talk with us in a heart to heart episode because he experienced it from the point of view that is probably the most useful to our audience. What actually you go through when something like that happens, kind of like I said, like the thing that we don't want to happen the most. Um, so if you don't mind, I'll throw it to you guys, and especially this question to you, Antoine. Maybe you can take us through. You were in Africa, you're, going about your work day. You received this call. Take us through the call from Leia's parents from Beirut, and knowing that she was in some kind of critical condition. Take us through from that if you can.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'll I'll say I'll start from that. No, not from the call actually. I'll just start from that Sunday night where I had the last phone call to Leah just before going to bed, which was the the usual phone call that is before going to a treatment. It's always a hard one. It's always a tough one. But that night was special because Leah specifically asked me to not to worry about that treatment, which could maybe take more time for her to wake up, and so that I should not worry about it. Maybe she's going to be too tired. Um, so she already asked me not to worry about that treatment day.
Sure.
And
Which is weird because it's like I also told my mom the same thing. I told her, don't take me to Plex, come pick me up from Plex because I think I'll be very tired tomorrow. And that,
Very strange.
yeah, it is when I look back to it. But sorry, I interrupted
yeah,
you. But like,
No, that's
yes,
important. Yeah.
it was like
briefly.
like I already knew that I was gonna be dead from plagues. Like, sorry, not use that word
But
because
really it was going to be bad for your health. But yeah,
yeah, it's like I asked everyone to come and or know that I was gonna be tired. It was like a
very
pre-feeling that
weird.
something was gonna go wrong or that I wasn't okay. It's like I
Yeah,
knew.
you know.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
So from that day, from that moment on, the whole avalanche of events started, I would say. So on
Yeah.
Monday morning, obviously I went to work. I was waiting for after midday to get some feedback from the treatment of Leia's. Obviously, I didn't get any, so I started calling her parents. Her dad answered me the first time and was like she was a bit weak from the treatment of plasmapheresis. She was a bit low on blood pressure, so we had to take you to the ER to try and awake you or make you better. So he told me not to worry and that it's gonna take that she's gonna stay in the ER for the night. So at that point in time, I'd say that I would still, I was a bit worried. Obviously, I got a bit worried and
Mhm.
everything, but it was still fine in my head. It was like, okay, maybe it's like one of those treatment day that didn't
Oh,
go
absolutely.
as planned. She was weak and everything and lost a lot of weight. So maybe it was a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Smart thinking. Hmm.
So the next day, obviously, when her parents went to visit her, it was Tuesday. I remember it was at midday, exactly midday, just before going up for lunch. I received a call from from her dad, and it was, you need to come because we don't know what's happening and how things are evolving. The doctors are not very optimistic, and they prefer if you come back right now. So this was that moment where, you know, my knees, everything like started like cracking. I felt like I was gonna like
Oof.
fall on the floor. I started like going a bit like
Mhm.
crazy, and also the first thing I did was call my travel agent to see if there was a flight. And luckily, I had like one place in the next day flight, which would get me there in 16 hours practically.
Ugh,
So I was able to see her on Thursday because I'd arrived very late on Wednesday.
thank God.
But just to tell you, that night of Tuesday night was terrible. Obviously, no sleep and everything. Wednesday, I had to travel at 5 in the morning. Obviously, also it was a tough
Mm,
wake up and everything. The whole journey was terrible, man.
worry.
This moment in the flight where you're like sitting in and you're not knowing what's happening, just getting updates from now and then, but not like
Well,
the that you want. Uh, so it was really, really, really stressful until I arrived. Once I arrived in Beirut, things started getting like quite how to say it, one after the other, you know. So the next day it was a Thursday morning that I came and saw you the first time. It was a shock the first day I saw her. All those tubes, all those things. She was here, she was there, but she was in
uh,
pain. It was really, she was like having like the face, the hands, the legs,
eh,
everything was disproportionate.
okay.
Uh, it was a shock, obviously. Then we saw the
Yeah.
doctors. The doctors were still uh, not very uh, optimistic, not very positive. They were still worried about your case. They knew that um, they were able to somehow get a higher blood pressure by giving you a certain medication.
Okay.
You talk about that. From that point, we started like, okay, trying to stabilize one thing at the other. Once the BP was a bit stable, we had to work on the infections, which she got like 4 different very heavy infections that came out from the guts and from the guts actually,
And
and that spread in the bloods and the
in the chest after.
chest. And yeah, it was like quite difficult to have to work on stabilizing the blood pressure and getting the infection better. So they were like, I
Okay.
think, working on a lot of different antibiotics. It took a lot of time. They wanted to intubate her because the blood pressure was so
Mm,
low. They were scared that her organs start getting infected. But thanks to the doctors that kept fighting to try and not intubate you, uh,
wonderful.
it helped her. I think she found like one antibiotic to work on that infection that made things start getting better from
Better.
perspective. So I remember by Friday, Saturday, you were doing a bit better. However, on Saturday, you went into like a semi coma, which
Oh,
completely, she was like asleep, not awake. Her organs and everything was working fine. but she was not there. She was like, it was okay, Saturday I'd say she was completely out. Sunday we came, she was a bit here, but not knowing where she was, completely confused. Monday was also the same, delirium, I would
Can
say.
I'm sorry to interject. How did, not to be so psychiatrist about it, how did that make you feel
But I was scared.
as her husband?
I was worried at that point of time because at some point the doctors were like, "This is normal," you know. So I
Okay,
wasn't worried the first 2 days. But then the third days, they were like, okay, we don't know. Usually it doesn't take so much time to get out of that. You know, maybe it's post ICU, you know, they call it psychosis of ICU or something like that. So
sure,
it couldn't be that.
sundowning, we say here, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Delirium.
yeah, delirium, exactly. So we were like, okay, let's see how this, you know, and it was me and her parents, her mom also especially. So we were like a bit like worried. So the next day,
You
it was
think?
Tuesday, I think we were there, me and her mom and her, and we came and we had this mission to wake her up. And then from nowhere, she started like waking up and being herself a bit, uh, realizing what was happening and remembering everything. And
Oh, thank
we were
God.
started like getting better and less worried, and things were getting to the right direction. So it was a long 2 weeks of ups and downs of
Yeah.
uh, trying to fix something, working on something else would come up at the same time. So it was always like a constant fight
Constant.
against, and it was against the clock too, because you know at that point of time, not moving, not being able to feed herself. The medication were like they put all her medication down, so it was really a tough period, but thank God
Wow.
we did it.
You got through it. Exactly. And
A
I
certain
guess,
angel or certain forces or whatever you want to call it. Uh,
and
Someone came in
you,
with us.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you tell such a, you know, a like a it really, it helps me, and I hope that it helps others think that, okay, even if something like this happens, even if something, the really bad happens, there is absolutely fight and there is medicine and it works. We have things that could work, and that is such a hopeful, and I think, message. And I love the way you tell it. And that's what it gives me, and I hope that it gives everybody else, that same sort of scientific hope. That's like, okay, with medicine and with the right thinking. And I think, probably a lot of how you did well, um, is because you guys were a presence. The family was a presence,
Yeah,
loved ones, and it doesn't have to be blood guys, it can be chosen family, people who love you. They're advocating for you and watching what's happening. You get maybe treatment that is kind of miraculous, and so it's a really, not everybody has it. And it is, yes, it is, not, it's a luxury. And I'm so grateful that you had it. But I do think that you probably had a lot to do with how well that she did, because we work harder as doctors when there's a family presence. It's a show of force, of love, and it motivates us. And that shouldn't be the case. We should be motivated all the time like that. But it's really, I see the dedication in it. And I know that you're telling it step by step, but each of those steps had 24-hour days where you to be sleep deprivation, and you don't like what you're eating, and there's coffee around the clock, and you're all mess. So I've been there and I know that. And it's such like a dedicate, not with a spouse, but with my, parent. And it's such a dedication of like will more than anything else. And, you know, you demonstrated that. So like, thanks for taking us through that.
There's
Is there,
something,
oh, go ahead, Leah.
yeah, if there's, so apparently, like I said things, I thought I was talking and I wasn't, and I was mumbling, and there's a lot of things that I think I did and apparently I didn't do. And I was tied up for 2 nights because I was ripping stuff, and
Oh,
I don't remember any of this, but there is something that I do remember. which is seeing my dad, my mom, and my husband. I do, and that presence for sure helped me fight and helped me get better. And I also know that apparently my phone that Antoine had to take care of
Oh yeah.
was went
Good call.
ballistic, and I have to say that I'm loved, and that's
You
when I
are
came
loved.
out and I got better. I'm loved by my family. I love by my friends and by the community that we built. And everyone knows that I answer my phone in like 2 seconds. And so,
Yeah, I had to answer to a lot of people that I didn't know.
and
I
so,
knew you would have to.
and
And I didn't want to use her phone, you know, so I had to like always try to
Like
copy like
add people.
like look at the outside who's calling. I don't know this guy. Okay, maybe it's not so important. Let me like skip this one, try this one. Man, it was total chaos.
Totally.
that
Totally.
showed how much I'm loved. And I have to say, I'm really grateful because it
Beautiful.
wasn't just my family, it was my family, my friends, and the people that I've met through SPS, through Bent Not Broken. You know, I, so many people. And Antoine was like, had to talk to like 70 people to make them feel okay that you disappeared for 2 weeks. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, you
It's
didn't
terrible.
understand.
It was a kind of therapy, by the way, you know, talking to all
Yeah.
these people, having to explain to them the situation on daily basis.
Yeah.
It was kind of relieving to me to kind of like
Mm.
yeah, it was actually
It was
helped me a
cathartic.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah, and processing because you're
yeah,
only processing with yourself.
right,
Sometimes you don't want to burden family members who are also sick with worry. So you're kind of like alone at the
yeah,
time where you need people the most. So I think
yeah,
that is really wonderful and a great, like you said, it's therapy. And that is wonderful that you took it that way because
And he
all you
made
you need sometimes what you need to get through these tough times is just somebody to bounce ideas off of and just make sure
yeah,
you're thinking right and just vent.
he
Yeah.
named people that he was like, I don't know these people. Like I know you kind of how you mentioned them, but he's like, I talked to people that I didn't know, and
That's funny.
and
yeah.
to be honest, I'm grateful. I'm back. I'm here. I posted that video where I dance on flowers because that's the only pop song I like at the moment. And I have kind of moved to flowers at some period in the last year where I've been doing well. So for me, that video where my mom and everyone told me, don't post it, you look terrible. And I was like, no, I'm, listening to music. I'm here, I'm present, I'm talking to you. I'm gonna
Amen.
post it and I'm gonna tell people, I'm okay. And life has given me a
Viva.
chance. So flowers all the way. But I'm it's okay. I'm like, I have to say that I don't remember anything. Uh, I don't remember the
Since
plasmapheresis.
when?
The
When did you
plasmapheresis
stop?
treatment,
Mm,
I don't remember.
okay.
Okay. And
Mm.
also my nephrologist, all my team of doctors, neurologists, nephrologists, cardiologists, and diabetes doctor, and the guys at the ICU, the doctors at the ICU who are not usually part of my team. I have to
Thank
be
God.
grateful for all of them because
Mm.
they really fought for me and they really had to take hard decisions. Man, my neurologist had to put me down my meds 95% because, not to affect my breathing. And I was fine until I woke up and I wasn't fine. Like, the stiffness came back and the pain and we manage and I'm back home and I'm getting better and back on my meds slowly,
Yeah.
slowly. But he took a decision and man, the day I woke up and I felt I told the nurse, I was like, sorry, no, I'm not gonna use the bad word, but I was like, call him now, I'm in pain. And they were like, but you're fighting.
I'm
And
not surprised.
he was like, the nurses was like, we'll call him, but you know, we have to control your blood pressure and your breathing. And I was like, I don't care. I want my meds, and I'd rather die from, you know, because I'm in so much pain. And it was incredible
Oh
because
my dear.
he gave
So
me meds
sad.
in the end, but it wasn't enough, and I was stiff, and
Ah,
the breathing and the and I
nobody
was like,
understands us.
but the nurses didn't, and they were like, "Are you crazy? Do you know what you've just been through? And you're starting to get stable. You know, we can give you, you know, the doctor's saying we can increase a little bit." And I was like, "But you don't understand the pain because it started coming back so quickly. The stiffness,
Exactly right.
and
That's
it's
why we stay on top of it because, you know, one thing that makes stiff person syndrome different from many kind of maybe all or many diseases is if you withdraw our medications, the rebound stiffness. It is a feature that is unique. I mean, we break bones when we have fevers in bed. I guess that's kind of unique to SPS too, but it's also you know what I mean. It's horrible what happens to when you withdraw our medication. I worked in addiction psychiatry so many years. I've seen all kinds of withdrawals for the decade, and this is different. This is our truncal, our abdominal muscles and the back, they spasm at the same time. Things that are dangerous for breathing, especially when lung function might be compromised for any reason. So I think it's really important that the rebound stiffness of SPS that's unique to this disease should be really known to the caregivers, and the patients, and understood that should you withdraw our medication by accident or we forget, um, it's not regular. It's not going to be regular withdrawal. It's going to be dangerous for us. So I think that's a, thing to just put a point on your story. That
day after I switched.
that's why it was so dangerous to take you down, but you needed to breathe.
That was a whole aspect of the situation, by the way. How
Tell
to deal
me.
with her medication and not let her blood pressure go down too much.
Too much.
The neurologist took a
Wow.
very hard decision. And when I came back and I had that night where I begged for something and I finally got a little bit of medication and we sort of go up, the next day when I saw him, there's not one insult that didn't pass. And he knows me very well, but I was like, how did you do this to me? He's like, I had to take the decision to not let you die. So please.
Die. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and I
Yes,
kept
you
telling
did.
him, I'm in pain and I'm stiff. And he's like, but that's now. Before you were sleeping and out of it and not even conscious. And I had to save you. So please spare me and
Yeah.
we'll get back to the medication slowly, slowly. And I was like, I'm in pain now. I don't care. I'm stiff. And he was like,
It's
okay.
bad pain that we
Yeah.
feel. Yeah.
For 5, 6 days, I was out of it. I wasn't there. And I guess I'm grateful to all the team because first they didn't
Yes.
expect me. And we all know that that would have made probably things more difficult. So
Yes, we
thank
do.
you. Thank you, my team. Thank you for being so attentive to the case, because I think that's also why I got out of it. It's because,
Attentive
thank God I
to.
had 4 bacteria. They leaked out of the gut into the blood. So it wasn't just one, it was 4. It was hard. And they did it. And I came out, and 1 week later, I'm so much stronger. But I'm in complete denial about what happened. I could use dark humor all the way. But I'd like to thank my husband for, sharing his experience a little bit, for
Me
first
too.
flying. I mean, I know I don't realize. So like he's here. We're doing it heart to heart. He came
Right.
because my dad called him and told him, she might die. And it's emotional,
Yeah.
but yet don't realize, but I'm emotional. But it's funny. It's
Exactly.
weird.
We have to stay strong with everyone,
Exactly.
all of us.
Yeah. And it's,
So that now
from
that you're better, you can come and take care of us now.
yeah. There were, so I think that the good thing is that you told that your close friends that you're having Plex. And so if Plex happened and then no communication, it gave us a clue that, okay, she's in the hospital. She doesn't have her phone. I mean, that was just came naturally to me. Because I was like, she would, cut her, someone for her phone. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, oh no, she would have her phone if she could, but she doesn't. So gave me sort of a picture. But, everybody sort of felt that same thing that I did. Like I think she went in for a treatment and then we didn't hear from her. And and I felt a love from our community here, that I think will appreciate you telling us the tale, Antoine, and sort of educating us on what that might be like if, something like that ever happens. And I think I don't know if you said it, but it's important to say that, Leia's entire inpatient admission was in the ICU, right? I mean, from
Yeah.
Yeah,
you,
from
is that
plasma.
correct?
From
Which
Plex
is
to
very,
RCU
that's
to
an
ICU.
intense,
Yeah.
it's an intense couple weeks. So I mean, oof, like you both need, I'm sure, like, a tropical vacation, So, but it's just,
Where's
it's a lot to handle. And I think that, I'm praising your strength, both of you. I don't know what else to, and it took strength to be a friend and not know, and be a doctor friend and not know. I was like, but I was, I was thinking, okay, and I had to sort of trust in the fact that you are a reliable friend. You are a person who might reach out to me if you could. So that comforted me because I said, her family, baseline, I know, that they're going to be with her. And that, like we said before, is a luxury, but it was so comforting as a friend to know that you just had somebody that was, or many people is better. Three is better than one, but people that are looking out, that are, detail oriented, that have your best interest at heart. They're kind of, everybody contributes something that they picked up, and it really accelerates the care and it makes it more appropriate, and it could cut days off of the admission. So, it's just, the love for you translated into really you guys being vigilant. And, the community, we suffered with the not knowing, but what you guys went through is the real ordeal. And both of you, as patient and as spouse, my heart goes out to you. And I think that what we learned is that, we can beat anything if I mean, I'm not saying we can beat anything, like, like, I'm always a little bit more on the skeptic side of using the word cure. I like management, so I'm on that end of the spectrum. But in this case, I think, bravo, miracle, you beat septic shock. This is incredible, like, and so I would, bravo to your team. They did some fancy medicine, and you're a very strong-willed patient. I have no doubt, and you had love around you. As a patient, it's all we could hope for. And I think that, this is it's a really, kind of like belated Valentine's kind of thing to see love and, its power. And so thank you for doing this, Antoine, with us.
We will.
Um,
I mean, there's one thing to end just that I want to say. So the community, thank you. And I know I got a lot of messages, even to the point where people got angry, like, where are you? And why have you disappeared? And that shows
no,
me how much I'm in touch with everyone. And, then it turned into like, I think people were like sending prayers because they got that something was wrong.
Plenty.
Something was wrong.
right,
And to
right.
end on a funny note, it was my birthday on the 1st of March, so 2 days after I got out, and my uncle told me, we really tried to kill you, and you came back to life, and so live it to the fullest, because you didn't die. And I was like,
You're amazing. You have been through a lot.
"Yes,
Okay.
you know what? You're funny and you're right. Like, I'm here. And so let me make
You are
most
here.
of everything." And that's the lesson learned.
Yeah.
Like, I came close to death and I didn't die. And so I
Yes,
have to live life.
exactly. And uh, I'm so grateful to have my friend. I didn't know how much I came to rely on this relationship until I didn't know, and I didn't know what was going on. And so it was, I think it's lesson learned on so many levels that I'm glad you took it to a place where it's helpful and educational and not just me, having a therapy session, about how much I missed Leia and, was thinking about her care and how you guys was feel and all that kind of stuff. So this is just, it's so cool to see that you're home and that you guys are together and, just enjoying each other or whatever. However, I know that you must be really recovery mode and it must feel very whatever, all kinds of things. But you present so well, and I'm so happy to see your face, and it's just amazing to me. And now I'm happy to see your face, Antoine. And, I'm just with this French do. I mean, I can't get enough of it. So I don't know what to say. So I'm really
Well,
happy that we did this. And
um, I don't like the French do, to be honest, and I
I
don't
love the French
care,
stew.
but it's
She was
part of
born in
the
Paris. Don't let her fool you. Yeah, this girl needs a
culture.
French
Fine.
stew.
Champs-Élysées.
Guys, thank you.
Okay.
That's what I
Thank you
want to
so
say.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for watching.
Idea. Thank
Thank you
you.
guys. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.